Can we find together the Iranian spy who infiltrated the Biden and Kamala administration? The American government, basically. To give you some background, the American government has just confirmed, and it's on CNN, New York Times, top secret classified documents from Israel to America regarding the response of Israel towards the Islamic Republic of Iran, the attack that Israel is planning to conduct probably in the next few days on Iran, have been leaked to the Iranians by some official from the U.S. government. Now, we're not talking about Elon Musk tweet or Instagram post. We're talking about top secret, top classified documents that Israel share with its allies.
Got some pretty shocking news. I heard an interview recently, some guy with connections to the Israeli intelligence agencies, and he mentioned some people in Kamala's team that are connected to jihadist groups or they're seriously... So I started researching them, and it was a rabbit hole. I've been researching it for a few days. I still can't believe what I found. If you're a Democrat, I'm really sorry, because this ain't good news, but you're going to want to hear it.
But some of these documents are sharing the targets that Israel is planning to attack. It's even sharing the logistics of how they're going to do it, which ammunition. And needless to say, such information would usually be reviewed by very selected few with high clearance, and somehow it was leaked to the Iranian. Now, these documents, they're quite serious, I have to say. I mean, I'm shocked myself that this is really happening. But some of these documents are sharing the targets that Israel is planning to attack. It's even sharing the logistics of how they're going to do it, which ammunition they're going to use, which technology, which airplanes, which missiles they're going to use, some that they can shoot from far away, some that they might have to come even closer and evade Iranian radars, the defense system of Iran that they will need to overcome, all kind of very classified information telling about the location, the time, the technology, the techniques that it's been using. It's a quite serious thing. This is basically indicating that there's a possible spy in the Kamala administration, high up. So it could be some kind of a Jamal Bond, but it could be also some kind of a AOC useful idiot that believes that the West is the enemy and that they're the evil powers and that they need to bring them down so the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Muslim Brotherhood can come and take over the world, bring Sharia, and make the world a better place. Either way, these are very disturbing news. So thank God, I have a friend in Israel named Ezra, a very brilliant guy who did quite an in-depth analysis of the whole situation in one shot. The guy barely stopped even to breathe, but that's quite impressive. But he mentioned out several names that could be possible candidates that might be the Iranian spy. So let's hear it from the man himself.
Got some pretty shocking news. I heard an interview recently, some very small YouTube channel, some guy with connections to the Israeli intelligence agencies, and he mentioned some people in Kamala's team that are connected to jihadist groups or they're seriously anti-Semitic. So I started researching them, and it was a rabbit hole. I've been researching it for a few days. I still can't believe what I found. If you're a Democrat, I'm really sorry, because this ain't good news, but you're going to want to hear it. Anyway, all the challenges that Israel's been having with the Biden administration really make sense. Not everyone realizes how devastating that administration's been for Israel in this war. But that's...
I'll stop here. If you're a Democrat, you should be very concerned about what you're going to hear right now. And I have nothing against the Democrats. I have a lot of very good Democrat friends, but let's just say that since Obama, Biden, Kamala have took over with the whole woke ideology, the whole Democratic Party, America's Democrats have shifted their support to Israel from being, it's our allies. They share the same Western values like us. They moved into, well, we're going to give Israel the minimum of help that we can, and we're going to try to stop Israel every time from fighting the enemies of America and of Israel, while still maintaining the image as if America did not abandon Israel. Because if a candidate in America will come and say we're abandoning Israel and the Jews, he's going to probably lose a lot of votes. But now they're being kind of swinging between, are we okay to lose these voters, or we'd rather lose all these snowflakes, students, radicals, jihadist supporters that are walking in the U.S. campuses, and their professors. So I feel, just to give you a little bit of context. Anyway, let's continue.
For another video. But for now, let's take a look at the people that I found in the administration. This is Maher Bitar. He's the Deputy Assistant to the President and the Coordinator for Intelligence and Defense Policy at the National Security Council. That's a very influential position. He's a Palestinian American and a former board member of Students for Justice in Palestine. That's one of the most prominent campus hate groups. They're associated with the Muslim Brotherhood, and that's an Egyptian Islamic supremacy organization whose stated goal is to spread Islam around the world and raise the flag of jihad. That's their words. Hamas is an offshoot of them. Now, Students for Justice in Palestine, unsurprisingly, endorsed Hamas and the atrocities October 7th. This guy, Meir Bitar, also worked at UNRWA, which is obviously deep ties to Hamas, and
They found an UNRWA ID on one of the bodyguards of Sinwar recently, and on many, many terrorists. But just the fact that you have someone that believes that you need to bring jihad into the West, and he is high up in your government, makes him a pretty good candidate.
And he's heavily involved in anti-Israel indoctrination. He also did an internship at the umbrella organization that funds another anti-Israel campus group called Jewish Voice for Peace. They've always got these deceptive names.
Have nothing to do with peace.
Anyway, he's effectively a Muslim Brotherhood plant in the U.S. government in a senior defense-related position. I couldn't even believe it. This is Yusra.
So someone like that might have actually had access to these documents that Israel sent its allies. So let's move to the next candidate.
This is Yusra Fazili. She's the chief financial officer of the Pentagon. She's in charge of the money. She's from Kashmir, which has seen a lot of conflict with India. Now, she has a lot of family members with ties to Islamic terrorism. She actively worked to free a convicted terrorist, Muhammad Afzal Guru, who was sentenced to death for being involved in the attack on the Indian parliament in 2001. Her sister and two cousins are deeply implicated in terrorism. Her sister, Samira Fazili, is also a member of the government in a less powerful position, but she's part of a group called Stand with Kashmir that has actually praised violent jihadists. And that group was founded by her cousin, Hafsa Kanjwal. Another cousin, Mubin Shah, was arrested by the Indian authorities for involvement with terrorism. Now, she described convicted terrorists as inspirations for the youth. Now, Yusra Fazili also served the Emir of Qatar. That's the country that funds Hamas and hosts their leaders. And she took that position after working at the Pentagon.
Have you ever wondered, why are you having a lot of young Americans now saying that Osama bin Laden was right, saying that they want to bring Intifada revolution or, jihadist Sharia law into the U.S.? Well, when you have in your government so many people that are obviously radicals and obviously have ties to radical extremists, bloodline ties, families, mentors, heroes, no wonder that this is what we're seeing right now in the streets of America, especially in the academia.
She was the strategic advisor to the Qatari ambassador to the US. That's a man who had tried to silence Qatar's critics, including the head of the CIA. At the UN, she represented a group called the Islamic Federation of Student Organizations, which is also tied to the Muslim Brotherhood and actually to bin Laden as well. Now, she was involved in developing the strategy for the Iran nuclear deal. It's unbelievable. Now, this is Brenda Abdelal. She's the
Iran nuclear deal. So that was a pretty good candidate, right? So let's see now the next candidate, Brenda Abdelal.
Arab Outreach Director. She once spoke at an event of the American Muslim Council, an organization that's supported by, guess who? The Muslim Brotherhood. Yeah. And at that event, as a speaker, she claimed that the Zionists are controlling a lot of American politics. Her mother founded one of the chapters of this Muslim Brotherhood front group. She also attended an event by another Muslim Brotherhood front group called ISNA, Islamic Society of North America. Now, she accuses Israel of ethnic cleansing and terrorism, makes no mention of Palestinian terrorism. But wait, there's more. This is Nasrina Bargzi. She's Kamala's deputy counsel.
Next candidate, Nasrina Bargzi, Kamala's deputy counsel. How did they manage to infiltrate so many radical Muslim Brotherhood supporter of Islamic regime of Iran into the Kamala and Biden administration? This is mind-blowing in key positions.
Very high position. She's an Afghan migrant who escaped the Taliban. Now, you'd think she'd appreciate the freedom of the West and the oppression of the fundamentalist Islamic groups, but no, she's actually fought against Jewish students who have been fighting against anti-Semitism. She accused them and Jewish organizations of organized legal bullying for suing universities. I guess she feels that the intimidation and harassment of Jewish students is okay. She called the Jewish students the aggressors, and she made a request to the UN Human Rights Commission to stop the Department of Education from investigating allegations of anti-Semitism. And she ridiculed the idea that calling for the destruction of Israel was threatening. She also signed a petition claiming that the lawsuit by Jewish students was threatening the speech of Students for Justice in Palestine, a group connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. You'll see they're everywhere. So you want more? I'll give you one more. But there are actually many. This is Mazen Basrawi. He's Biden's current Muslim liaison. In 2010, he attended an event by ISNA, the Islamic Society of North America, again affiliated with the Muslim Brotherhood. And This event featured a number of individuals with ties to extremism. One of the unindicted co-conspirators in the World Trade Center bombing was honored at the event. His name is Imam Siraj Wahaj. Another individual present was Tariq Ramadan. Get this, he's the grandson of the founder of the Muslim Brotherhood. Wow. He's been charged with rape 5 times, and he's often justified terrorist tactics. No surprise. And Hamza Yusuf is a man who defended Omar Abdel Rahman. Now, you may remember him. He's the man known as the Blind Sheikh. He was convicted for his involvement in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. Now, Mazen Masraoui also challenged the materials and tactics that were used by counterterrorism experts in the US. He worked to censor the training materials on Islamic terrorism. Now, there are more, but I think you get the picture. It really looks like the Muslim Brotherhood has infiltrated the Democratic Party thoroughly. It's astounding when you go into it. And as I said, there's a lot more. Now, I've always been a Democratic kind of guy. But a few years ago, I realized that the Dems that I'd always loved were gone. In their place was a group of Marxists and people tied to Islamic supremacy. I just didn't realize how bad things really were. But I grieved that loss at the time. It was hard. So I get that it may be hard for you too. But the Dems are over. They've been infiltrated by the Muslim Brotherhood and people who support them. And the Muslim Brotherhood's a very clever and dangerous organization. Now, this is obviously devastating for Israel, but it's also, and mainly, a huge threat to America. You may or may not like Trump, but whatever you think of him, he's not even in the same universe as these people. The Muslim Brotherhood are a very brutal, evil organization, and you do not want to see what they can do. If you haven't already been keeping track of what's going on in Europe and the UK, I recommend it. They've got more violent crime and sexual crime than they've ever had in history.
There is a reason why in the Arab world, they're making the Muslim Brotherhood illegal. In the Arab world, they're pushing them out. They say, we want nothing to do with you, because the Muslim Brotherhood, anywhere that it went, have brought with it a very poisonous, very toxic ideology that spreads, that works to bring down the economy, the security, that works to bring terrorism, to bring Sharia law. It's an ideology that was very cleverly made to look very appealing, especially to young Western students, because these are their targets. They're literally targeting the Western students and the Western young, students. Like I said before, they're basically the dumbest version of adults. They just became adults. They have nothing, they don't know anything about what it means to be an adult, and they're the easiest target. And that ideology knows to target them very, very well, because it plays the music that they like to hear. It talks about occupation, it talks about apartheid, it talks about resistance, it talks about that the government is evil, that the West is evil, that what's good is actually bad, while what's bad is actually good, the underdog. So it's bringing a lot of these things that these young people that are just bored and are morally weak, they like to cling to it because it makes them feel good. It makes them feel like there's some kind of a bigger resistant plan to make the world a better place. So they're just being tricked. Now let's hear the rest of what he had to say.
Watch Tousi TV, Tousi, on YouTube, or GB News. You get a picture of what's going on in Europe and the UK, and that's what could be coming to America. Your vote matters way, way more than you think.
Wow. Go check him out, guys. I'm going to leave a link to Ezra's Instagram and YouTube channel here. A dear friend, very articulate. The fact that he did this whole video in one shot is impressive. As someone who does videos, I'm telling you. Now, who is the Iranian Muslim Brotherhood spy in the Kamala and Biden administration? Obviously, there is someone there that have clearance to top secret documents, and it's not hesitating to share them with the enemies of the US. Now, try to give me one good reason. Why should America share such a document with its enemy? Please, if you have any good reason, leave it in the comment. I can't think of any good reason aside from someone who's trying to sabotage the U.S., Israel, the West, and try to help the bad guys. In Iran, they are burning flags of America, calling death to America right, left, and center, death to Israel. They're trying to reach a nuclear weapon. They're saying that the greatest goal is first annihilate Israel, the small snake, and then annihilate America, the big snake. They are allied with the enemies of the West, of the U.S. The problem that we have with America, when it's run by the Democrat, is that these kind of behaviors are making America's allies to stop trusting America. And when America's allies are getting scared, they start realizing we can't trust America, we gotta do it ourselves. Saudi Arabia starts saying if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, we're getting a nuclear weapon as well, because Sunni and Shia, they don't like each other. Israel is starting to realize we can't let them keep doing that. We gotta fight for our survival, and America is not really backing us off. Obviously, they're leaking information that we're giving them. The enemies of America are very happy when America is run by the Democrats Party because obviously their allies are deep and rooted in the government. And this should tells you a lot about what's going on right now here and about the dangers that it can bring to you in America and to anyone living in the West, any peace-loving, freedom-loving human being. With that said and done, from my experience over the past few years, I've seen the Democrat Party in America shift from being a party that I actually liked its values to a party that is becoming narcissist, a party that is run by weak men and women. You know that saying that says, and I'm going to say man and women because it's not only men. Strong men and women make easy life. Easy life make weak men and women. Weak men and women makes hard life. And right now we are in the weak men and women in the world. Look at the leaders. You know, it started with Obama. And then it moved to Biden, which is basically the guy can barely go up the stairs and cannot even talk a full sentence. He's having a dementia, an old man that is obviously not qualified to lead and run the strongest country in the world. And then after him, you have Kamala, a sorority girl that can barely finish a sentence, that cannot make a sentence that makes sense, that actually, I've read a poll about it, every time she speaks, her ratings fall down. So what they started doing is, let's prevent her from speaking. The more she speaks, the less people want to vote for her. So let's stop her from speaking so people will vote for her. But what happened when she becomes the president? She's going to have to speak. She's going to have to speak in front of very bad leaders around the world, in front of Putin, in front of China, in front of all these Iranian jihadists, and etc. She's going to have to face a lot of pressure. And when you have weak America, it makes hard times for the world. So that sentence that I said before, I'm going to change it. Strong America leads to easy life for the West. Easy life for the West makes America weak. Weak America makes hard life for the West, for the world, and that might end up with a nuclear catastrophe, ladies and gentlemen. I've played with the idea in my mind many times. Imagine you're playing a board game, and in that board game, it's called the apocalypse in the horizon. And the main player is planet Earth, the world. Every time America is run by the Democrats, the player takes 2 steps toward the apocalypse. Every time America is being run by the Republicans, the player takes 1 step back or maybe stays in the same spot. That's basically just looking at world events in terms of war, instability, economic instability, and etc. for the past, I would say, several years, basically from when Obama took power until today. Now, it's definitely not my business what's happening in American politics. If you guys want to allow men to go to girls' bathrooms, that's up to you. If you guys want to have transgender men, in the name of feminism, go and compete in the Olympics with women and beat the crap out of them in boxing or outswim them in the swimming classes and destroy these little girls' dreams, that's up to you. That's not my concern. But where does it become my concern? I'm a citizen of the free world, of planet Earth, of the West, and I have a child in this world, and I don't want him to have to grow and to survive the coming apocalypse that might come in our way, the coming racism, anti-Semitism that is rising. And for that, I need America to be strong, because strong America makes easy life. Weak America makes hard life. Hard life, we don't want to be there. We've been there. Well, not really us, but our grandparents in World War II, World War I, and probably even the medieval ages before. It takes one generation to destroy easy life. But once you get to hard life, that can last for 1,000 years. And you don't want to be there. And that's why I do agree with Ezra here. The name that you put in the box is very, very important. It's very, very important. Who's going to be the leader of the world, the leader of the free world, the leader of the greatest nation on earth? People don't like it when I say that, but you know what, guys? Let's be real. If it wasn't for the United States of America, we would be living right now under Nazi Germany or communist Russia or I don't know what. So, strong America is needed for all of us. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, feel free to go and do the whole shebang. Click the like, share, leave a comment, the whole thing. And if you want to find direct ways to support my work, me and Snoopy here, go and check my Patreon, where you can find very direct ways to help me keep doing these videos, because after all, I am doing this out of my free time and for free. But until then, guys, stay safe and don't do anything stupid. And in general, don't leak sensitive information to Iran. That's not a smart thing to do. See you next time.